This is the ghostly shrinking bottle. Ooh, it's not that scary, so don't panic. What you're going to need is a plastic bottle. Now I'm going to use this big plastic bottle here. It's a 2-litre bottle, as you can see, and we're going to use this one. You do need the lid as well. What I want you to do first is to screw that lid on, but don't screw it tightly, okay? Just put it on so it is on properly, but loose enough so that we could squeeze air in and out. Okay, so it's obviously fitting, but it's not tight, because that's the first thing. Then you're going to need a hairdryer. Of course, hairdryers have electricity, it's sensible, it's not dangerous as long as you do it sensibly, like I'm going to show you. Put the hairdryer on the hot setting. Okay, you need it on the hot setting. What I want you to do, I'm going to tell you first, because it might be a bit noisy, I'm going to take the bottle and I'm going to heat it up with the hairdryer for about 1 minute or so, okay? So just heat it up. So watch carefully, and I want you to be doing the same thing, of course. So. Then what I want you to do is to close the lid and see what happens after a minute or two. So this is what happens. Close it nice and tightly. Okay, so why did the bottle collapse in like that? What was going on? Well, when you were heating it with the hairdryer, remember, I was moving the bottle all the time. Did you remember that when you were watching me? I was moving the bottle as I was heating it with the hairdryer. 2 reasons. One was because it's actually safer, so I don't want to heat the plastic up too much in one place. So by doing that with the hairdryer, because it's very close, I'm keeping the heat even all over the bottle, and that's okay. The bottle was getting pretty hot. And what was happening is, if I undo that lid just a minute, the air inside the bottle, of course, was being heated up, and hopefully you just seen the way that popped back out again. The air inside was being heated up. And when air gets hotter, like many materials, when it gets hotter, it expands, it needs more room. So when it was expanding, obviously it's got nowhere to go, but the lid wasn't tightly on, remember? So the air was expanding and some of it was pushing up and escaping through the lid, and pushing out as it was getting heated by the hairdryer, because the heat was travelling through the plastic, of course, as the plastic got hot itself. I stopped the hairdryer, I screwed the lid on tightly so that no air could escape or come in or out either way, and then I stood back, and over a minute or two, it started cooling down again. And just as air expands when it gets warm, it contracts and shrinks again when it gets cold. Now, of course, that bottle is sealed now, it's totally closed, so the air that was left started shrinking, taking up less space, so it didn't need so much room. And so the pressure dropped inside. It went into sort of a suction effect. It got less pressure. And that meant the air around us in this room right now, which was pushing all the time anyway, caused the bottle to squash and collapse. It only happened a bit at a time because the air didn't suddenly shrink. As it was cooling slowly, it was slowly shrinking. That's why every now and again you heard a little crack You saw a little dent appear in the bottle, and eventually the bottle ended up looking something like this, slightly squashed in, just to show you the air must have sucked in to cause it to do that, and so the air outside was pushing against it to cause it to crush in like that. So, a few variables for you to consider, things you could change to see what is going to happen. You're very creative, I'm sure you can think of lots of things, but let me give you a few ideas. How about changing how long you heat it for? Maybe only heat it for, say, 10 seconds or 20 seconds rather than a minute or so that I did it for. What about if you heated it for much longer? Do you think that would make a difference? What about trying a different size bottle? I mean, this is a pretty big 2-litre bottle. What about trying a different size bottle, maybe a litre bottle, or maybe one of these little tiny bottles like this? What about something like that? Would that work? This particular bottle, as you can see, has got these ridges around the outside. Now that affects the shape of the bottle. I wonder if it'd be possible if you want to find a bottle like this one, which doesn't seem to have the same sort of ridges. Particularly if you could find one the same size, another 2-litre bottle which doesn't have ridges like that, would it work in the same way? And I'm sure you can think of a few more things as well.